And we are live. Welcome back to Pistons Jack Fan Reacts, where the Pistons get back on the winners list and they defeat the Toronto Raptors by 9 points, 123 to 114. But before we get into the game and I bring up my man Austin, I've got about an hour for today's show. I've got Austin lined up, then John after, and potentially Kyle. So if there's a fourth person that wants to jump on, I might be able to squeeze you in at the end. So shoot me a DM. But I'm going to bring up Austin now and let's talk through this game. Austin, what's going on, my man?
Cade is an all-star. Even if he doesn't make it, he's an all-star. Jesus. The dude just controls the game at just such an elite level. Obviously, he came back in that fourth quarter and just took over, which is just awesome to see. But, I mean, you also can't understate just how the vets played and have been playing. I feel like it's been, I don't know, maybe a couple games since we talked last, but, man, the vets have really been stepping it up. And it seems like, Beasley was kind of going down there for a minute, and Tim Hardaway Jr. has just been on a bit of a heater recently, which has been awesome to see. And Tobias is finding his spot where he wants to be, and he's become very effective. These are the games that you look back on, and it's like, man, these were the ones they would lose last year, and you'd be like, oh, they're so close. And so the fact that they're winning them, and they pull away in that last 2 minutes, it's great to see. And it's, I've said it before, we deserve it. This is where we deserve to be because we've dealt with so much.
Absolutely. There's so many places I want to go, but I think tonight was like a real, I don't know if mature is the right word, but both teams were just shooting the lights out. Like when I look here, you can put it down to some poor defense at times, but the Raptors, 42% from three, 16 makes. I think they were mostly around 50% from the field for the game. Pistons as well, 57% from three, 52% from the field. So just like a real shootout, constantly within 5 points. Neither team could really pull away outside the first couple of minutes. And for Cade to come back in and go on like that, I called it a personal 7-0 run for him where he assists to Stu, gets the block on Scotty, assists to Stu again, then hits a pull-up three. That kind of gave the Pistons that buffer of 6 points. But, just like you said, these are the games they lose last year. I don't think Cade, we've seen this more consistently from Cade, especially in the last 15 games where he can close it out now. I don't think Cade does that last season. And that, I think it's a sign of his growth. But, man, I'm not even mad. I think he had 8 turnovers. Honestly, few of those, yeah, I'm not mad. 17 assists. But I'm just really impressed that this team just kept going, kept making shots, and were able to end up winning by nearly double digits and close out the Raptors, who I think that's the best version of the Raptors they've played this season. They're quickly back. They had Scotty, RJ Barrett. I don't know if they're probably missing a guy or two, but just a real mature win, I thought. Sorry?
Do they have Gary Trent still?
No, he's with the Bucks.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Because I thought that he was still on the team, and I was like, yeah, he was the only one that I could think that wouldn't have been there. But yeah, you're right. This is the most complete team for the Raptors they've played. And I think the Raptors are one of those teams that maybe people have looked at, like the Pistons the last couple of years. They're like, that's a better team than their record shows. They're good. And, the 8 turnovers for Cade, pretty solid defenders on that team. I mean, Scotty Barnes, as much as his flopping annoyed me tonight, he's a very good defender. He is. I mean, he had that block on THA with his elbow. So you gotta give the guy his flowers for that. I mean, I don't know, rookie of the year, that's a whole debate, but just a fun game to watch all around, aggravating at times. Yeah. But just to see kind of everyone come in and step up and just give effort. That's really all you're looking for. And I'll say it again, the consistency thing, Cade's starting to become more consistent. Somebody who personally I was very critical of, and I think since the last time we talked, it's Jalen Duren has been playing very, very well. He had a couple plays today. He sprinted back on defense, affected a shot, he's been playing very well on both sides. It kind of feels like maybe he's figured it out a little bit. And the rotations that JB's been going with, like, the backup ball handler is kind of an issue, but Marcus Sasser's been playing. He's been playing well, not great or anything, but he's been doing all right, scoring wise at least. I still think that a backup point guard is needed, but at this point in time, it just seems like the vibes with the team are just so high. Like, after Jalen Duren makes those 2 free throws at the end, he's walking over, smiling, pointing it. I think he was talking to Sasser about something. Like, I don't know. They just seem like so much more of a team this year than they were last year. It's like, it's just a bunch of guys that, I don't know, like playing with each other.
Yeah, that I kind of, they've kind of been giving me the early vibes of like, this might not be the best comparison, but you know how like right now the Magic, I think they actually just got Paolo back, but they were without like Paolo, Franz for a large chunk of this season. But like guys just step up, like they've got a real culture there and belief within that team where like they've somehow, I think they're like what, 23-17, fourth in the East or something like that. Like maybe they've dropped off a little bit, but like I feel like there's something within. No. Thanks for calling that out, because there's something within this Pistons team that I think happened on that West Coast trip, where there's now just a belief that it's like someone's just going to step up. And I think where I want to go first, and I just want to talk about the vets. Cade was awesome. I'm going to get to him in a moment, but tonight, Tobias 17.7 rebounds. He had a huge block. Who we got? THJ, 27 points, 7 of 8 from deep. He was the one keeping them afloat for the first 3 quarters. Whenever they needed a bucket, he came through. And then Beasley in the fourth, he was kind of struggling, I felt like, for much of the first half maybe, but then he finished with 18 points, some huge threes. Like, shout out to them combining for 62 points. Like, I just think we just have to start the show talking about them for a little bit.
Absolutely. I think at the beginning of the season, I was very critical of Tim Hardaway Jr. He had the bad start. I think, just like preseason was like, oh gosh, like what's this going to be? But, I think, I don't know, again, it's just that veteran presence. I mean, they play very well, but just having them out there and, down the stretch when THJ was on the bench today, if the Pistons scored, he's up off the bench telling people to get back and play defense. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I absolutely love to see. Tobias Harris hit a huge shot today. I can't remember if they were tied or it was late, and it put them up 2 after they had been very stagnant for a while. So
is that like the pump fake step through?
Yeah.
I think it was tied, because I remember thinking to myself, that's actually a huge bucket.
Yeah. And like, again, just to go back, it's tough to use last year as an example because it just is, but like, that's the kind of player they were missing last year in those kind of moments, especially because I think Cade was off the floor at that time. Like, somebody that can do something, like just anything. And, that was huge from him. And yeah, it's just, again, it was awesome to see him get that block and kind of talk a little trash. Like it just, I don't know. Their impact, I don't think can be understated at all. Just playing and what they've done mentally for this team, both sides of it. It shows.
It really does. And Tim Hardaway Jr. as well. Like, I've probably said some things about him this season, like defensively, that have, I think most of us have had some issues with him there. But like, honestly, last game, they missed him so much. Like, just having that second real shooter that you can have on the floor at all times. Like, I really noticed that last game when Beasley wasn't on the court and then you didn't have THJ either. So just constantly having one of those two on, I feel like they do pretty much all game. It's crucial to the spacing. And like TSJ tonight, like he's 2 of his past 3, like he's been exceptional. Well, he missed one of them, but so yeah, shout out to the vets, man. Awesome tonight. But let's get to Cade. Oliver Jones here says Cade All NBA. I think it's a real conversation, but
yeah,
we can talk about that in a moment. But just talk me through his game and what you saw.
He just makes everything look so easy. Like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go against Scotty Barnes and just walk him down to the basket and get it. He just like he's crossing him over. He's just in such control of the game. Like, I don't know. You when you watch some players who, I don't know if they're like players like at maybe his level or not, but it kind of almost looks like they're hurried up a little bit. And like people have said it all the time, you can't hurry him up. He's going to get to where he wants to get to. And Yeah, like I think was it right before halftime he finished with 9 assists right before halftime, and it was like, oh gosh, like he's got 9 already. Like his scoring was down, but he was affecting the game in so many other ways. Like I think that's what's great about him is like he'll give you 20 points, but he's going to add 17 assists, or he's going to give you 35 points and he's still going to give you 8 or 9. Like he can do it all. And I mean, I was so happy he got that last rebound at the end of the game. Like I know triple doubles aren't like a huge thing, but I was like, yeah, he got it. Like as soon as he caught the ball, that was awesome. So I don't know, just keep pushing for all-star. I think the all NBA. I don't even think like it's like, well, maybe like I feel like that conversation really needs to be had now because just what he's done leading this team, did JB talk about the other day, like, or maybe it was Trajan, I don't remember, but they were like, yeah, we did not think we would be where we are at this point in the season. Like,
I think it was Trajan, yeah, because he was on
like,
FanDuel Sports on the pregame show.
Yeah, so like that. I think that kind of speaks to just what he's done is like he's surprising the front office with how good he is. And, as fans, I think we all were like, yeah, he's going to be good. And to kind of even exceed those, it's like, yeah, we got one. And I'm glad they signed him to that extension. And yeah, Pistons are getting talked about now. It's great.
Man, he's like talking about like expectations, and shout out to my man, Matt Wade, Detroit Bad Boys. I know he was in the building tonight. So glad you got to watch Kay take on Scotty. But like expectations with Kay, I'll put my hand up. Like I thought what we're seeing this season is probably like what I thought was going to be like year 7 or 8 K. Like truthfully, like the way he's taking over games, leading them to wins. The box score numbers, like I know sometimes it doesn't mean everything, but they're just ridiculous. Like he's probably going to be very close to like 10 assists now after tonight. Like I know he's at like 9.2, but I'm saying that's going to take a bit of a bump. Like 7 triple doubles so far, like 3rd in the NBA behind only Jokic and LeBron. Like this is ridiculous. Like I did not expect this for year 4, and like we always say, like it's kind of year 3. So.
And it was easy too. Like I think like I don't want to say it's easy, but like all it took was a GM to come in here and be like, oh, I just got to get some shooters around this guy. Like that's, and on a level of like, it'll make him a little bit better, probably thinking. But when you see just exact like how much better it makes him, like it's really crazy because when you have that spacing out there, like he's either going to take his man one-on-one and score, or he's going to get doubled and he's going to make the right play. Like you can't really defend it. And I think that's just something that the Pistons haven't had in a very long time. And, just all this stuff that keeps happening, you keep referring back. It's like, oh, they haven't done something like this since 2018. It's like, oh my gosh, like we've went through it, man. Like, wow. Like, so it's great to be here. It's, like, yeah, they're sitting at the 8th seed, and it's like, oh man, you're talking about the Pistons like they're great, and it's like this is great for them, like right now, because they weren't expected to be in this position. So the fact that they're here, like that is great. Like, yeah,
they've exceeded. I don't think anyone expected. There's no one that expected this. Like, as in, like, I'm trying not to be disrespectful here, but anyone that actually has watched Pistons basketball, like. Probably a lot of the people in the chat here and us too, like over the past 4 years, like there's no way anyone expected them to be here. Like I don't care about like some of the schedule being a bit soft with who they've played. Like doesn't matter. Like the 2019.
I think coming in, I was like, oh yeah, playing game, maybe they can make it there. That'll be cool. And now like expectations were there, but it wasn't like serious. Now it's like, okay, I think either like one of the lower seeds, because I mean the East again, it's so top heavy. Like, what are they? They have 20 wins. The 3rd seed has 25 wins. The 4th has 20. Like, you're right there now. And I mean, I think coming up, they got some tough games coming up. Let's see.
Moses says next games are brutal. So I was going to quickly. Are you able to pull those up?
Let me just pull this up really quick. They got. I know they play the Knicks next. So that'll be tough. They go Knicks, Pacers, Suns, Rockets, Hawks, Magic, Cleveland, Pacers, Dallas.
That's tough, but Dallas could be without Luka and Kyrie.
Yeah. So
Pacers,
that's the schedule for January.
It's definitely a lot tougher than what they've had. I will say that, especially in this kind of home stretch and that Brooklyn away game. But I don't know, like I feel like we were saying that December, and they went and rattled off wins against Lakers, Suns, and the
that's
Kings.
very true.
Like,
yeah,
it's going to be tough, but like at the same time, like I think some of us, when we look at the schedule, we're just so used to chalking up losses when we see like at Indiana or versus certain teams. Like we just know in previous years, like, oh, yep, that's a loss. Like,
with a lot of these teams, the last time I think that we played them, like the last time they played the Knicks, was that the one in New York and they beat them, and that kind of started things for them. I mean, they beat the Suns on the road. They beat Indiana last time they played them. I don't remember Houston. I know that was at home, but I think they made a loss.
It was a close game. It was a very close game.
They're just playing so much better than the last time I think they played these teams. Like, I think they'll have a shot in most of them. Like, even if it's a close game, it comes down to the wire. Like, I like where they're at. And again, just staying consistent with things, Cade scoring, Vet scoring, Asar slowly coming back. I saw somebody in the chat said it, and I wanted to ask you about it. Him and Ron seem to be kind of not getting a ton. I mean, Asar played 20, Ron played 15, I guess. But like when they're out there, their presence is felt, but it seems like they're not out there like a lot.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I think Ron's role's been kind of steady. Like 15 minutes. I didn't feel like he played that many tonight.
Yeah.
Asar, I think maybe he's still like a little bit ill or dealing with like the symptoms of whatever flu or that he had. But yeah, last game Asar pretty much played the same amount of minutes. I don't know. Asar's like he had some really great moments tonight, but sometimes I've noticed he's getting he's still going to always make crazy defensive plays because of who he is. But I've noticed him getting blown by a little bit, or sometimes get caught on screens. Like I don't know if he's just still a bit like trying to get his conditioning back, but
which would be fair. I mean,
very fair. But because he started then to only play 19 minutes is a bit strange. I thought he might play more, but he hit a 3 tonight, but it's
Well, I think in games like this, maybe it's better to have those vets out there. One, for the scoring ability, but two, like I think one of Asar's best traits is just his quickness, his speed, his ability to get up and down. And when you're playing a team like the Raptors who get up and down as fast as they do, like I don't want to say his presence is negated, but it's kind of like it's not felt as much as when they play slower teams. So you kind of mix that out a little bit. But again, he's still getting his legs back and stuff. But I mean, hey, Ron hit a 3 tonight. That was,
How I feel about Ron, like just the 3-point shooting. He finished 1 of 4. Actually, I must have missed a couple. I did miss some of this little portion of this game. For some reason, when he shoots now, like I'm starting to expect it to go in.
Yeah,
like it's not like every time, like I can't look. Like it's more like I actually think this might go in.
Well, his shot form is actually good. Like, I'm not great, but like when you look comparative to like what Asar's looked like last year, like to what Ron's looked like, he has a jumper. It's just all about confidence now. I mean, the kid's only 18. Like he'll figure it out. Once that starts falling consistently, watch out because he's gonna figure it out. He'll pick his spots to go and it'll be crazy, especially if Asar can start hitting, you can get them both out there at the same time. Man, it's gonna be special. Like these are the kind of games again that you're just like, this team, even next year, 2 years, like they're gonna be fun, and you never know what's gonna happen in the future, but like you can see where it's going, and I think that's the most exciting thing.
Absolutely. It's so, like that's the thing, like the Raptors, what do they want? 8 games. So, but it's like, I don't even care, like, because you can just see the vision with the Pistons now, like, and a fair chunk of that has to do with how good Cade is playing and feeling like, oh, wow, we might like we have a like guy who I feel like is going to get into like top 10 conversations. Not this year because his resume is nowhere near stacked enough, but like talent wise and what we're seeing, like that's top 10 player in the NBA. I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
You got to stack it up and keep it going. But it's like I truthfully didn't feel like that before the season. So a lot of it has to do with that. But like you said, how long have we been waiting for like the Detroit Pistons to have like wings that not only are normal size, but like have like athletic? Like we've got two, and I know their jumpers are a work in progress, but like we've got this center in Jalen Duren who's like you rightfully pointed out, like really picked it up lately. And I don't know what he's going to be in his entire future with the Pistons, but it's just like you're really starting to see like this young core and like contribute to basketball in a winning way. And some of them are looking awesome individually, but it's so exciting. It's like, man, I haven't felt this as a Pistons fan. And I know it's been a forever for anyone else.
Yeah, it's been a while. Cause even when they were like decent, like I never really like, when I say decent, I mean like that 2018 team, like with Blake Griffin, like I kind of paid attention to him, but you know, like that was such a weird time because it was like they made that trade and it wasn't, you know, universally loved. And it was like, you know, kind of just people wanted them to start tanking kind of around that time. So it was like, it was kind of hard to, I don't want to say pay attention to them, but it's like when you were looking at, it was like, man, what they have is never going to win you an NBA title. You know, that's still LeBron James in the Eastern Conference running that. Like, so around those times, it was like, man, and you know, in 2005, I was 9 years old. So like, you know, it really is a crazy feeling. And it's just funny because the last couple of seasons, you know, as the season was starting, I was, you know, tell friends or family like, okay, hey, this is the Pistons year, watch out. And then, you know, last year happens and everybody's like, oh, I thought they were going to be good this year. And I'm like, just, all right, give me a break here. And then say it this year again. And now you can actually kind of back it up. Like, hey, they're 6-1 in the month of January. So
look out. They're legit. Last thing I want to ask you, Austin, before I let you go is there was that report about the Pistons potentially being buyers now at the deadline. You don't have to say a player or anything, but what would you like to see happen at the deadline?
I would like to see a backup point guard, probably. You know, I wonder what you could get. I don't know about this one, but you know, where the Raptors are right now, like, and again, I don't know how much they love all of their players, but you know, Emmanuel Quickly, I don't really know if he's a point guard or if he's more of a shooting guard, but like, I didn't mind him. You know, like there's so many players out there, but I think backup point guard is like a must for this team, just because you see when he goes off the floor, when Cade goes off the floor, like it's tough. So backup point guard is probably the biggest thing for me. So yeah,
I agree.
That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I think like prior to that report, like I'd just come to the I don't know. I just didn't want this team to now go out and trade for like these are just the names, but like that kind of star, quote unquote star, and an Ingram or Levine. But just because I just think what they've got building here with this culture and these young guys and the vets, it's something that I'm not sure I want to disrupt this season. For what is available that we're aware of, if that makes sense. Like maybe there's something we don't know, but yeah,
I don't want them selling the farm to go get, you know, Brandon Ingram or Zach LaVine, who, you know, you get rid of, you know, if they have to make it work and they get rid of Tobias Harris and you throw in Tim Hardaway Jr., like two locker room guys who are there who've helped kind of build this team up. You never know what could happen after you get rid of that. So, you know, like I said, like backup point guard, something like someone that you don't have to give up a lot for, that you can kind of keep this team together a little bit more, that just kind of calms down that second unit.
So I'll throw one name at you and then and I'm letting you go. So Marcus Smart. So he's got 2 years, I think, like, I don't know the exact deal, but it's like 2 years. I want to say 36 mil. So you're taking on this season next, but like he's the idea of like this season, ball handling, defense, 3-point shots comes and goes. But I feel like he fits the culture of what they're trying to build. I initially, I heard this name, as Sam Vecini mentioned it on the Game Theory pod, I was like, no, absolutely not. But I thought about it, I'm like, well, what if Memphis, they're trying to make a trade, they need to get rid of some money, we could get some sort of pick, and then you get that guy to help fill the void a little bit for Ivy. But then when JI is back, Marcus Smart, I feel like he'd be happy to come off the bench, like on a winning team. And like, I wouldn't start him over Ivy, but I feel like that's a real piece. I haven't looked at his injury history this season and how that's gone, but it's just one name.
I mean, I'm just looking at it right now. He's out right now, progressing with a finger issue. I don't know. So it's not. It doesn't look like it's anything crazy. It's just a finger issue. Considered. Okay. I mean, he's shooting 33% from three, 4 assists. You know, he's getting you a steal a game. Like for a backup point guard, like that's probably a really good name that you could throw in there, like for sure. Like as long as he'd be, you know, because I think he's another one of those guys that like you hate going against him, but you love to have him on your team. Like he seems like he would kind of fit the culture of Detroit. So yeah, I don't hate that, especially for a backup point guard position. Like, yeah, I don't hate it.
Just the name. Like it's because I feel like it's when you first hear it, you're like, oh no, because you're just like Marcus Smart, like there's gonna be guys like this, where you just have that reaction. But I think when you kind of think about it, I don't mind it. But I'm with you, more ball handling, because as Chuck pointed out here, like different comment of him, but yeah, once Cade's off, the offense is a bit iffy. But I'm gonna let you go, Austin. Thank you so much for joining, brother. Always a pleasure.
Hey, also undefeated on early messages still. So
yes. How could I forget? That's bad by me, but great shout out. But we'll chat soon, man. Enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, see you, man.
Okay, bye. I've just got waiting for John. I've dropped him a link. Oh, he's messaged me. He'll be up here in a second. So yeah, Austin's the best. What a man. I think I'm gonna try and think off the top of my head. I think when Austin DMs me at least 3 or 4 hours before tip off to join the stream, the Pistons are like 6-0 or something. So that's just that little inside joke he mentioned there. Biggie Mac, F those annoying Raptors and their fans. I agree, man. Like how good I understand. I've actually come to learn because since I've found out I'm going to Detroit, I've had some people reach out from Canada and tell me I have to come and visit. So I didn't realize how close Canada is to Detroit, but yeah, get out of our building. And I just want to shout out as well, LCA crowd tonight, MVP chance for Cade when he was at the line in the last minute or two there. That's what we want to hear. I got nothing against Jared Goff. I love that the Lions are doing well for the city of Detroit and all the fans, because I know it's been a very tough time being a fan of the Lions up until the last couple of seasons. So no hard feelings there. Love Jared Goff, but I want to hear MVP chance for Cade. That's what we want. That's what we want to hear. So shout out to the crowd tonight, and shout out to you, Petey Mac. Shout out to my man, Tom Herr. Love to hear it. Detroit basketball. Let's go. If you want to, Tom, you said you could join when it's the weekend, so I can make 5 minutes for you, brother, if you want to pop on here at the end. So I know for you it's probably around 11 a.m. on Sunday morning. So I know you got the time. So let me know, brother. But I'm going to bring up John now. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's going on?
Fresh haircut for the stream?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, so new haircut today.
How good. How much of the game did you catch? And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I watched the whole game. So, we started well. Like, I feel like we had like a 13-point lead after like 4 minutes. And then the whole game didn't have a lead over 5 until the end. But overall, I'm fairly happy. I feel like Tim Hardaway Jr., want to give some big shout outs to him. Played really well again. He was 7 for 8 midway through the third quarter, and then he didn't attempt another three the whole game.
Really? There you go. I didn't know that. I knew he was 7 of 8, but I didn't know he didn't take another. Like, that's crazy.
No, he didn't attempt another three after I think there was like 6 minutes left in the third, and he stopped attempting threes for whatever reason. But at the end, I want to give some shout outs to Jalen Duren. He hit his free throws, only thing he needed to do, which he hasn't done all season, but now when I counted, he hit all 4 of them. So just want to give some shout outs there.
Absolutely. And as Ryan says here, THG has been a great piece to this. It's going to be hard to see him go if he's included in trade talks.
Yeah.
I agree, Ryan. Like, I think THJ just like culture fit as well. He's been awesome on the court recently, but like, yeah, I feel like he's a real vibes guy as well. So
Yeah,
it'll be hard to see him go. Yeah.
I feel like all the vets are like really good for the vibes
Yeah.
of this team. I feel like they're really all a big part of the vibes.
Absolutely. Look, we spoke a little bit about the vets earlier, but any other thoughts on Beasley and Tobias?
Yeah, Beasley, it didn't feel like that while watching the game, but I feel like I looked at the box score after and he played pretty good today. I felt like he had a little bit of down game while watching it, but just looking at the stats right now, League Beasley, he went 4 for 5 from 3 points, so he actually shot really well, which surprised me. But he's been really just shooting the whole season,
Yeah.
so just a great pickup on a really
Look,
cheap deal.
Beasley as well. Like, I think Carl's going to join us next, but I saw him comment being like, Beasley 18 points. I didn't realize that. This was during the
Yeah,
game on Twitter, and I was like, I'm with you. But I think he hit a few really key threes. I want to say in the fourth or at least the
yeah,
second half combined that were just to put the Pistons back up by 5. That just I mean, they all add up in the end, but I'm with you. I didn't realize he had 18 until I kind of looked at it.
yeah. And
You go.
something I also want to talk about, just for this game, but I also noticed it in the Warriors game. That the rebounds, like I feel like we barely offensive rebound at all, and we give up so many.
We do, yeah. It is one of the negatives of tonight, I would say, and
Yeah,
definitely the Warriors game.
they had 15 offensive rebounds and we had 7. So double the offensive rebounds for them, and it's not like we have good rebounders, so I'm not
It's
really sure what's happening there.
it's
Because
interesting. Yeah,
basically every player on court should be able to rebound most of the time. So somehow we never get the rebound.
no, it was frustrating me tonight. I feel like they didn't really give up any. Oh well, they kind of did give up a crucial one off 2 missed free throws, and then the Raptors got it and missed 2 free throws
Yeah,
again.
they missed
But
5 free throws in a row.
yeah, but it has been like against the Warriors as well. I think the numbers were similar. Like they got out rebounded on the offensive glass, like
Yeah,
something like
against the Warriors,
20 to
it
7.
hurt way more.
Yeah. And it just feels like every single time, the second they get up that offensive rebound, I'm just the other team scoring. The second
Yeah,
chance points are automatic. It is a killer. I'm like,
yeah,
and I don't know if it's on necessarily the Pistons bigs. Sometimes I think maybe the players on the wings aren't crashing the boards. Like when THJ's at the 3, he is kind of undersized.
yeah.
But
Because
you also have Cade, who's a good rebounder. So yeah, it's a tricky one.
a lot of times it's a long rebound, which turns into an offensive rebound for the opposite team. So I feel like a lot of time it's not the fault of Durinos or Stu, because they're under the basket. So a long rebound isn't really what they're able to get. And a lot of the time, I just feel like, yeah, it's the wings that maybe just aren't ready enough for like a long rebound.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Like when you got Beasley or THJ kind of playing at the
Yeah,
3, or when they're both on the court together, I feel like you are quite undersized. I thought, Fontecchio had picked up the offensive rebounding a little bit before, but yeah, I think it's that would be my guess. It is a tricky one though. Sometimes, like you say, like some of them are just long rebounds off missed threes that are hard to grab, but then there is others where you're just like, yeah, it just kind of spills to the other team, and it does hurt the Pistons. It's definitely
yeah,
been something all season, I think. So you're right to point it out.
Yeah, it does hurt because if you just rebound better, you give up. Like if we let them get as many offensive rebounds as they let us get, they'd have 7 shots less. And you know, they shot 43% from the field. That's what? That's like 5-6 points less for them.
Yeah. And they were up around 50% for much of the game.
Yeah,
It was just until the end they couldn't hit shots. So those second chance points, yeah, you take those away and you're not dealing with a 2-point game deficit the whole time.
yeah.
Thoughts on Cade Cunningham's game?
I feel like we need to graduate from the All-Star talks to the All NBA talks
I agree.
because he's just been phenomenal. He he did have 8 turnovers, I think, but he also had 17 assists.
Yeah.
He's he's that guy. He's a really, really, really good basketball player, and people need to notice that. People need to give him the respect he deserves and the credit he deserves. He's insane.
Insane. Like just 22 points, 10 rebounds, 17 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 48% from the field, 50% from 3, including a huge pull-up 3.
Yeah.
80% from the line. Like, what doesn't he do? Like, literally.
Couldn't name a
what,
thing.
what doesn't he do? Like even when he's like people be like, okay, like defense, like he's not locked in enough sometimes, and he's not. Like, but I think
Yeah.
that's a product of like the load he has offensively. But it's like when he's locked in on defense, like he's really, really good as well. Like I don't
Yeah,
know
he's
what he
he's
can't
a
do.
6'5", 6'5" point guard. He needs to be. He's basically, just because of his size, he's at least decent defensively against other point guards, because usually he just has an immense size advantage. So he can't even be like a real liability on ball.
Oh, definitely. No, and like 7-foot wingspan, like it's just
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy. Who else would you like to discuss? I haven't really. We just spoke about the vets and Cade, to be honest. And we spoke a little bit about Jalen Duren early. But is there any players you want to talk about in particular?
Marcus Sasser, I feel like um it was like his second stint of the game where he just came in and hit 2 shots back to back and really gave us some momentum again. He's been playing well recently as well, so I feel like just some shout outs needed to him. He's
Definitely.
been good off the bench.
100%. That was towards the end of the third quarter because he hit like a 3, and then I
And
think
then the
Ron,
midi.
yeah, then the midi. But I think Ron had hit a 3 as well around that time, and Ron also created. He got an offensive rebound that ended with a Fontecchio putback. So
Yeah.
those 2 were huge. Because I know you love Ron, so I just had to get him in there as well.
Obviously.
But Marcus Sasser, yeah, those 2 shots were massive because, like we were saying, like it was just the whole game was like it was like 2 points, 3 points, 1 point lead to the Raptors. Like so, every shot was like huge.
Every shot was a bucket. Like, I don't know when I've seen us shoot 57% from free.
It's crazy. It's
I feel
crazy.
like we should have won the game by a lot more when we shoot 57% from free.
I just want to quickly shout out Tom. I saw you say you will come up on the stream. I can't find your comment, but I've got Kyle coming up next, and then I'll send you a link as well after. So if you can hang around, Tom, I'd love to get you up before we wrap up here. But back to the game. Back just to the Pistons overall. They're 20-19, John. 20-19. They're on pace for 42 wins.
Yeah.
I'll never get tired of just this season in particular, just like saying their record out loud because it doesn't seem real to me.
It's great.
It's ridiculous. Just they've got some tough games coming up, but
Yeah.
and I've asked you this before, but I feel like after every win, I've got to ask everyone, like, just tell me where this team's going for the rest of the season.
They're going to the 8-9 play-in. That's where I'm at right now. I feel like
Okay.
we are going to the 8-9 play-in. I'm
I'll
not sure
take
about the playoffs because Indy has been picking it up recently, and Milwaukee has been getting better as well, and the Magic got Paolo back. So I'm not sure the playoffs are in the picture, but the 8-9 play-in, I feel like that should be the goal, and that's a very possible goal.
Absolutely. And don't think I'm letting you get out of here without me asking you what happened last night. You said you were coming on the stream, and
I wanted to,
they lost, and I heard nothing from you.
but I was way too tired. I watched the
No,
whole
you.
game. I watched the game, and if Malik Beasley hit that three, I was not going to be awake for overtime. I was going to sleep. I slept 2 minutes after the game was done. I was sleeping. There was no way I couldn't be. I was
Well, can
awake
you
enough.
remind? No, I do not blame you at all. Because can you remind people what time it is for you in Switzerland right now?
It's 4:25 a.m. right now.
4:25 a.m. And you're up watching Pistons basketball and have been
Yeah.
doing that for a year and a half. Like, crazy. Well, look, John, any final thoughts that can be about anything about the Pistons? It can be about last night's game and your friend maybe giving you some shit.
Nah, I don't really want to relive that. You know, I heard enough about it. I want to give just Tobias Harris credit again. I feel like
Yeah.
he's really stepped it up. Recently, I'm saying it every time I come on here, but I feel like Tobias Harris does not get the love he deserves because he gets a lot of hate when he stinks. But he doesn't stink recently, so I feel like he just should get equal love, and he's been playing really well. So I want to give him some shout outs.
I love it. I think it's a great call, and I think he has been, since the Jaden Ivey injury, one player amongst a couple that has really stepped up with JI out, going all the way back to that fourth quarter when Ivy was injured. Tobias and THJ, it was those two that kind of got the Pistons the win in that game when everyone else was feeling a bit down. So great call from you. Anything else before I let you go?
That's it.
Are you going to sleep now, or what's your plan? You staying awake?
Yeah, nah, I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, it's the weekend.
I'm instantly going to bed.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you for making the time to jump up, and hope to hear from you this week.
Yeah. I'll look. Maybe, who knows?
You just DM me, brother, and we'll get you up here.
Yeah.
But enjoy some sleep, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah.
All right, catch you, bro.
Catch you.
All right, I'm gonna just drop Kyle a DM, a link now. We'll get Kyle up here. I did see, I haven't read it yet, but I think I saw Kyle. Tom can go for. Kyle's just offered up his spot quickly. All right, maybe I'll get Tom on quickly then, and then we'll go Kyle. Very, very generous of you, Kyle. But Kyle, I think, just wrote an article, or has helped write an article over at Detroit Bad Boys about potentially some of the players the Pistons could be looking to trade for if those reports are correct. So I'll definitely ask him about that. I hope I'm right in assuming that was in that article, but whatever you're doing, go check out Detroit Bad Boys. That's where I started writing. Always some of the best Pistons written content for sure over there. Go support their podcast with Wes and Blake Silverman. But yeah, I'm excited to get Tom up here. We had Tom on here about a few days ago, and with Cody and I, and it was a lot of fun. Now here's the man, Tom.
Wait,
are we in matching jerseys, brother?
yeah.
Let's go.
I
How
wore
good.
this for the stream.
I love it, bro. Oh, and look, you got the Cade.
Oh.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
I actually want to show you this.
Yeah, that's unreal. Did he sign that?
Yeah.
Whoa.
The team sent me this signed poster by Kate Cunningham, so I had it
Right.
framed.
That's incredible. That's so cool, man. I love that. Man, I need to get something like that in my backdrop. I'm jealous.
I'm sure you're going to be able to get some when you get to Detroit.
I hope so. But Tom, how are we feeling, man?
Mhm.
I can't remember. We spoke a few days ago. It's been a couple of games in between, but we're 20-19, couple of games
Mhm.
back from the 4th seed. Like, talk to me.
The game today, it was a really good game. I enjoyed every second, every play of it. It was amazing. And I have a friend who I made into a Toronto fan because he was like getting into the NBA, and he was asking me which teams he should try to support. I was like, don't go for those Lakers, whatever. And I recommended Toronto, and now he's a diehard fan. It's been like 3 or 4 years now, and we've been watching the game together, trash talking each other. It was really fun. But
That's
yeah,
good. I love it.
and uh thoughts. It was
Talk to me about Cade
Mhm.
Cunningham, the man in the poster at the back there. I think we can talk about. We've spoken about Cade multiple
Wait,
times, but like,
uh-huh.
are you gonna bring him over? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No,
We
no.
need him in frame. Talk to us about your your Cade Cunningham.
I mean, like it was a master class by kid. It was like he had s- like his passing whenever he was on the game and when he was off the I think he was a plus 25 or something in today's game. In a game we kind of barely won, not barely, but by a small margin. And
Oh, you're
how
right.
we
Yeah, plus
yeah,
23. I didn't even see that,
yeah, plus
Tom. Great
23.
call.
Yeah. So how we led the Pistons offense was incredible. Like when he was on the floor, the offense was running like really smoothly. I know he had those too many turnovers, but aside from that, the game was perfect, and it was in perfect timing for us to push the Cade All NBA agenda. Like one of my favorite NBA media personalities is Keith Smith. He's like a
Yeah.
a guru with a cap space and everything, but he's now giving attention to the All NBA agenda of Cade. So I mean, it's just really happy to be a Pistons fan these days, and the Cade's defense was also incredible, and I really wanted him to have a really good game against Scotty Barnes because
Yeah,
there's just I always thought that Cade should have won the Rookie of the Year that year, but yeah, it's frustrating. But yeah, I'm so happy we won. It
I
was,
agree.
yeah, and
I'm with you.
um,
Like, it's
mhm,
awesome. Whenever Cade goes against Orlando, like, I want him to play well because of Paolo and Franz.
mhm.
Whenever he goes against Scotty, I want him to be the best player. I think the Jalen Green conversation, that's been done for a while, but
That's come on, man.
I don't know, it's been done for a while, but I still want him to outplay Jalen. But so I'm with you to watch him. Like, I don't care. He had 8 turnovers. He's clearly the best player on the court. And honestly, like, Scotty Barnes is really good, but you watch the way Cade controls the game,
It's
like,
just different. It's just different. Like I,
different
I
level.
love, yeah, I also love Scotty Barnes' game. He has a very good he's very good defensively and he's also good offensively, but he kind of needs some more shooting around him, and he needs to improve on his shooting. But I think they're on different levels. Like Kate's just in all NBA conversations right now, and yeah, just I don't know. I'm not trying to bring Toronto down or anything, but it's just that personal vendetta I have against that Rookie of the Year
Absolutely.
race.
I think a lot of Pistons fans are the same. I'm the same. Like, it was that whole rookie season when it was like everyone, like, Cade had a bit of a slow start, and like it
Mhm.
was like 5 games, and it was like that was held over his head for like the entire season. Like, it was as
Yeah,
if he was averaging 9 points for the whole season when he just had like a bit of a slow start. But
yeah.
yeah,
When he missed like a lot of threes in a row, I still remember that. Like after he got injured in the preseason,
yeah,
and he had a slow start, and everyone like hates a bus and all that. Oh
yeah.
come on, man! But I'm so glad the NBA is taking notice, and yeah, and I saw that we're 1.5 games out of the fourth seed.
Yep.
So so
Crazy.
I usually don't watch too many other games, but these days I'm watching other like Miami Heat games, like Indiana Pacers games, just to root against them for them to lose. we can climb the standings a bit. But it's kind of frustrating that they're doing well. Like I
I
think the
know.
Pacers are on a 4 or 5 game winning streak. Miami Heat are on 2 game winning streak. They're all hitting the stride at
I
the
know.
same time. It's frustrating.
No,
Like
I'm the same. I keep thinking like, okay, they will have leaped the Pacers by now. The Pacers haven't lost this year in the new year. So it's like the Pacers just keep
really?
winning. We keep being stuck at like the 8th seed, but
Ah,
it'll turn. It'll turn at one point. I think the Pistons actually play Indiana in the next
yeah.
game, so there's our chance.
I heard you guys talking, and we have games against Pacers, like 2 games against the Pacers in the next 8 games or something. And those
Yeah.
games are really gonna be really crucial. Like, and I think um if you make a national vote of who's better, Cade or Tyrese, I think Cade might get the edge over Tyrese. Like nobody imagined that before the season, but right now
Yeah.
if you do if you do vote, maybe there's recency bias or anything, but I personally believe Cade's like much better than Tyrese right now. Like it's
Yeah.
just no,
I
I'm
think so. I
biased.
think you're right. I don't even think you're being biased. I think
Right, right.
I think people like Tyrese is probably like more creative and better in transition
Mhm,
and like really fast paced offense, like what the
mhm.
Pacers were. But I think there's no questioning that I think Cade's a much better. I would take Cade. I don't even think I'm being biased. But
Yeah.
um, what else do you want to talk about, Tom? We've probably got another couple minutes here before I'll get Carl
Oh,
up. But
okay.
we're
Well,
not in a rush. But yeah,
what do I wanna talk
can I
about?
actually ask you
Yeah,
um
of course.
any other place, one place you could recommend for me in Detroit?
Okay, I'm sure you heard the Buddy's Pizza and all that, all those places, but I forgot there's a sports pub in downtown Detroit. It's really popular. Like I think a lot of people in Detroit will know it. I just can't remember the name.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Someone
but
might
it's a
remember.
yeah, it's a sports pub that a lot of people like go to. It's like a third story building. It's all pub, and
Oh, it's three
it's
stories and it's all a pub.
yeah, it's yeah,
Yeah.
maybe yeah, and the Coney dogs. What else? I did the like there's like this thing where you can ride a car that has like you cycle on it and you drink beer while you're on it, and it's gonna no, it's actually
Sounds
really nice.
awesome.
Like
No, it
yeah,
sounds
it's like
amazing.
you're gonna be a group of random people, and you're just gonna cycle around in a huge car, so it moves the motor is like if you cycle on it, it moves something. So you
Yeah, yeah,
drink
yeah.
beer while you're on it, and they're gonna tour you around the city of Detroit, and they're gonna drop you in some places where you can have a lunch. And the funny part of it, like it's like I think it's part of a culture in Detroit. So if other cars see you, they just honk at you just to say hi. And whenever someone honks at you, you have to drink.
Yeah, that's
That was that was actually hilarious. Like I think you're gonna enjoy that. And
okay.
yeah, and Detroit style pizza. What
What was your
else?
favorite place for pizza?
I
Buddy?
actually just went to one, Buddy's,
Okay.
but I
Yeah,
loved
yeah.
it so much I went there 3 times. So yeah, you're really gonna love Detroit. Like, and I made some friends through Twitter before I went to Detroit. I actually didn't have any followers at all. I was
Yeah.
just like that. But I met this friend. His name's Josh, but um, he actually treated me to dinner after the game.
Wow.
There's I'll send you. I'll find the place. I'll send you. And they have
God.
it's another sports pub. It's right beside LCA, and
Oh,
they
beautiful.
have
I'll
really good
find
hamburgers. Yeah, they have really good burgers. You have to try them. And
it.
yeah,
Wow.
you're. I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
I appreciate you.
After
And how
this.
long were you there for last time? I remember seeing like you post photos and stuff, but
Oh, I was there for a total of 3 or 4 days, I think, I believe.
yeah.
4 days, I think. Yeah. So I
And how
watched two
long?
games.
Oh yeah. So you're there for 4 days. How long's the flight for you?
So a flight going from to Detroit from South Korea, it's very rare to find and it's very expensive. So what I did, there was a relatively cheap flight from here to New York. So I went to New York and I stayed a night. And the next day, I took a flight from New York going to Detroit, and
Yeah.
then I stayed there for 4 days, and I went back to New York, stayed there 3 days, and went back to Korea. But that's it. I think shout out to my friend who was really like shy. He doesn't really know anything about Detroit, but I didn't want to go alone, so I kind of forced him to go with me. But
That's
yeah, but
what a
it was
good
a
friend.
total of maybe going to New York, maybe 14 hours, and then
Yeah.
an hour and a half from New York to Detroit, so maybe 16 hours. Yeah, but
Wow.
it was so
And
worth
you were
it.
there. Oh, definitely worth it. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
it was
it's
so
a
worth it.
long time, like, because my flight it'll take, well, I've been to the US a couple of times and it's
Hmm.
14 hours from Melbourne where I am to LA, and then it's like 6 hours, I think, across from LA to New York.
Oh wow, are
So
you're even
I think
further than me?
yes, I couldn't be further away. Like even just if I lived more north in Australia, I think I would be at least a couple of hours closer. But I'm pretty much the furthest away you can get from Detroit and that part of the
So,
US.
so next year, this year, right? So, how are you gonna go straight to Detroit this time? You're not gonna go like,
I'm
it's not
gonna
yet.
go. So it hasn't been booked in, but
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go. My girlfriend's going to come, and we're going to go to New York because it's such a big trip. Like it, I'm so
Yeah,
grateful the Pistons are like helping me get there just for the Detroit part. But it's like if I'm going, like I want to make this actually like a couple of
yeah,
weeks
that's what I
type
did
thing.
too.
If I
That's
like,
what I
because
did.
I should be able to make it work. So because it's just such a big trip. That's why when you said you're there for 4 days, I'm like, how far was it?
Oh, wait, just one small
Yeah,
tip. If you go to the NBA store in New York, it's like the biggest NBA store out there.
yeah.
If you buy the Pistons jerseys, hold on. If you buy jerseys from that store, okay, you're gonna get this one, but without the sponsor jersey, sponsor
Yeah,
tag.
yeah. I'm
So I,
surprised you actually could get that. When I went to the store, there was not one Detroit Pistons jersey in
yeah,
2022.
actually,
There's
so
nothing in New York. Yeah.
I went there November early last year, and then I got this, and then the first day in New York, I got this, and I went to Detroit. I was wearing this jersey, and everyone around, it was not even selling it in Detroit. So everyone was like, "Whoa, where'd you get that?" I was like, I don't know, man.
Oh, wait. I just
Yeah,
realized. Oh, no, because it's last season city. Sorry. But yeah, I got you.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
you have to get the white ones. Those are really nice.
and I'm so excited
Eh,
to go to the three on
Yeah.
three store because we can't
Yeah.
I don't 3-on-3 store doesn't ship internationally. So um
Oh, no, but it says it doesn't. They don't. But they
yeah.
do actually. So I have a lot of Pistons gear that I bought from the 313 shop. Like they do. They ship
Man,
it.
you're
It's
lucky,
written
Tom.
there.
You're a VIP, bro.
No. Anyways, like
No,
Kyle's
no.
probably waiting too long.
Well,
Anyways,
Tom, okay. Carl,
yeah.
Carl can wait one more minute. I love Carl, but
Uh,
I'm sure everyone. That's why. Just can you just leave us with some of your positive wisdom? I know we're all feeling good, but what are your just where do you think the Pistons end up this season?
I'm not sure if people like know my stance towards the Pistons, but I was always the positive person. I try to stay positive all the time, and I try to stay away from negative stuff. I try to like be a positive all the time. But even I didn't expect us to be at this position.
Yeah,
I hoped that we're gonna win around 30 games, but now we have 2019, and I think there's a chance that we will have a chance to have home court advantage. Like there's a chance, but I think we can miss the play-in. That's the best case scenario for me. Like I agree with I forgot his name, but I agree that we do need a backup point guard maybe because sometimes when Marcus is out there, he does score well, but he sometimes the offense gets a little bit stagnant. So maybe we can trade for a player like you said, Marcus Smart. But I really think we can be sneak into the fifth seed, sixth seed, and if we go against a team like maybe Orlando, New York, I
yeah,
think we have a chance. Like, there's a
yeah.
chance we can. Like, if
Well,
you
'cause-
think about it, we can make the second
uh,
round. Like, can see
I
it.
love it. This is what I wanted.
I'm
I thought
trying
you were
to.
just going to say we could win a game, but you're going second round, and I love it. I
No,
love it.
I'm actually getting convinced the more I say it. Like,
Yeah.
that's actually kind of makes sense. Like making the second round. Oh, that's going to be awesome. I
Man,
think
I
that's
tell you what,
possible. I think.
I don't know. Like, if they make the playoffs, I just want to see one win. Like, because I've
Yeah, that's
still
true.
never seen a playoff win. I'm assuming you haven't either. When did
Mhm.
you start following the team?
I started following the team. I started liking them in like 2004. That was a long time ago. But
Yeah.
I started really following the team like around 2010-ish,
Yeah.
around those times. Yeah.
Wow.
So
You've been a
that
fan
was
longer
a.
than me. Shit.
I've been watching all the back to work Pistons games, like not all of it, but I was like, oh, this is a team that I like. And during those Charlie Villanueva days, Ben Gordon days, I was like, oh yeah. I was rooting for the Pistons, and
That's
I'm sure
crazy.
the real ones remember. I think were you the one who posted the spacing with the Josh Smith lineup? The,
Probably.
the Josh Smith, Andrew Drummond, the
Greg
center,
Monroe.
Greg Monroe.
Yeah, it's
When you
crazy.
when you first had that signing, I was like, oh, this could work. And I watched a few games. I was like, all right, oh man,
I remember because I loved Josh Smith as well before. When he was
yeah,
in Atlanta, he was one of my favorite players. And
yeah.
then,
He was so athletic. He kind of dunked like LeBron. So I was like,
yeah,
all right,
he
we
was
got
crazy
this.
athletic.
Yeah, we're gonna go against the shooting whatever. Oh, the old school like we're the bad boys, the
Yeah,
Pistons. We can do this, and no, we couldn't.
they were bad.
Yeah, a- and um the and now that you mention it, the Blake Griffin Pistons. And I saw the recent Blake Griffin interview like a day or 2 days ago when he talked about how he gave everything for the city and he tried really like sacrificed a lot. And I really wish Pistons fans appreciate. I know like how he got out, he could have been gone differently, but he really gave it all. Like his career, he's during that one season where he dragged us to the playoffs. That probably derailed his career from that. Like his knee, he could have sat out the season, but I remember him wearing a big knee brace. Like he had to lock it and unlock it during
It's
during
crazy.
timeouts and stuff. That was crazy. And he's like literally one of my favorite Pistons of all time after that season. So
Yeah.
and yeah, and the Killian Hayes.
Killian Hayes. That
Yeah.
name.
Like my girlfriend, she knows I'm a Pistons fan, so she gave me a Pistons jersey during my first birthday together. So when she gave me the jersey, when she was opening it, I was like, "Oh, Killian Hayes!" I was like that, but it was Derrick Rose. It was a Derrick
Derek,
Rose Pistons
that's
jersey.
a cool jersey. Derek Rose is awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I still obviously I still have it, but I'm kind of glad she didn't give me the Killian Hayes
Yeah.
jersey. I still love
Oh
the
man.
man. I still watch his
Yeah.
highlights in the Brooklyn Nets G League team. Yes,
Oh, God.
what could have been? He still doesn't have his right though.
It's still all left.
Yeah, it's all left.
Oh man, you are dedicated. Watching him on the Long Island Nets, that's everything. Tom, please come back here whenever you have the chance, man.
Ah,
There's so much
yeah, I
love
will.
for you here in the comments. So I know weekends work well for you. So if you don't reach out to me, I'll be calling out for you. So yeah, and how good's the jersey, man?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Let's go.
I saw you wearing the black t-shirt, so I wore it also.
Oh, let's go. How good. You're the man, Tom. I hope
Thank
we,
you, thank
we
you.
we'll cross paths one day in person. I know you're not in Detroit, but I feel like you and I are going to be there for some playoff basketball. And
Yeah, we are
please
going to
come
be
back
there.
on this. We are, and please come
Right,
back on this stream whenever you have the
right,
chance, because yeah,
right,
everyone's
right.
loving
Thank you,
you in
Jack.
here. But enjoy the rest of your morning.
It's 12:48 here,
All
so
right,
yeah, the day, I
enjoy your day.
guess. All right, you too, Jack. Thank you,
All
everyone.
right,
Bye bye.
catch you, man.
Detroit basketball.
Let's go. See you, Tommy. All right, what a man, what a legend. Yeah, bringing the vibes always. So positive. We love it. Kyle, I'm dropping you a link now. Appreciate you, brother. been gracious to give up your spot in the queue. We're gonna get you up here. Yeah, Tom's what a legend. I'm so glad we if you went on the stream the other day, it must have been after the Nets win or the one before that. Cody and I kind of peer pressured Tom from the chat to get up on stage, and he came up on, and yeah, I'm so glad he's up here now and chatting Pistons hoops because he's a legend, absolute legend. But we've got another legend here. We've got Kyle. What's going on, man?
What up, guys?
How's the water situation?
Water is back.
Let's go.
Yeah, water is back officially. Have running water, and it's like no more boil advisory. So like I can actually, drink the water and do things, wash my dishes. So yeah, we're back to normal, at least for now. We had another snowfall, so we were worried it might happen again, but I think we're in the clear.
Very happy to hear that. No running water. That would be, yeah. I haven't dealt with that yet. I hope I don't.
It was a little wild. It's the first time it's ever happened to me, for sure.
Like, those are the things. I think you said it. Like, you don't realize until it's gone. Like how much of a necessity it is. It sounds obvious now that I'm saying it, but just it's crazy.
Yeah. But, when I've been to places too where like we couldn't drink the water, things like that. So, but that going in, so you have all the things you need instead of trying to arm wrestle someone for the last jug of water at the Target because people are. It's like the Hunger Games out here when
I was thinking of asking you that. So I haven't explored much in the US, but when I was in New York, it was like you have to get bottled water. Don't drink from the tap. Can you drink from the tap?
Depends on where you are in the country. Some places, like most places, you can. Some places it's suggested to do filtered water because the sediment or like certain water levels. When we lived in Indiana, like it was you don't want to drink from the tap for long periods of time. You won't get sick, but it will not be good for your health long term.
Yeah. Gotcha. Crazy. I mean, I feel very, very lucky down here. That's for sure. Where do you want to go, Kyle? I saw some stuff. I haven't been able to catch up on the chat, but what were we talking about? Ivy extensions and Zion in there? Well,
one thing someone brought up in the thing. Well, let's hit this first. Yeah, we might want to chill on the All NBA for Cade because if he makes All NBA, his extension goes to 5 years, $270 million, and his first year salary lose $8 million in cap room next summer because it goes from a 25% max to a 30% max.
Gotcha.
And so, love Cade. Let's get an all-star. Let's be in the all-NBA conversation, but let's not get all-NBA until next year. Everyone wins.
This is why I love you. Not one person in the Pistons community would not have that knowledge, like at front of mind as we're talking about it.
Well, shout out Derek Brown for reminding me because I hadn't even thought about that until
really?
I knew it, but I didn't I wasn't because today's the first day that we were really talking. I've heard it and I've heard Keith and Trevor mention it. And I have to message Keith and be like, bro, chill out. Mr. Cap guy, stop. Why are you trying to screw the Pistons cap sheet? Let's relax. So all good. If he gets it, that's awesome. Power to him. But if we can save, whatever it is over the next 5 years, that's probably good too. So
I agree. I just wasn't sure because then is this where the Ivy conversation started?
I don't really remember. But there was an Ivy for Zion conversation, and then someone said Ivy wanted a max and doesn't want to pay Ivy max. And that's what that was in the conjunction with.
No, I love it. I just did the last thing I had on my mind was Jaden Ivey for Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound crazy, but it's just this love Pistons fans. That's unreal. Any thoughts on the game, Kyle? Anything we haven't hit on or anything you want to bring up?
I think the turnovers for Cade was kind of there was definitely some just avoidable ones, but then again, he still had a like over 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. So it's hard to be mad about it. I'm glad he got the triple double because I was worried we have some people in the comments saying, when was the last time Kate had a triple double? What's going on? After, I was just waiting for that. So I'm glad he got the triple double. We can avoid the what's wrong with Cade conversations. And yeah, it's a win they needed to have, frankly. Like that's you have to have this win regardless of the schedule coming up. Like the team is the Raptors are not good. They're not trying to win this year. You came out flat against the Warriors. So you need this. And the team has been good about this. I don't know how many times they've won. Have they lost multiple games in a row yet this season?
The Warriors.
The Pistons. When was the last time they lost 2 games in a row?
Oh man. I think they did have a 3-game losing streak the last time because I remember we were all down in the dumps a little bit. But I think that was like early December. It might have been when they they beat the Pacers, then they got blown out by the Bucks, lost to the Celtics, and then played the Celtics again, the other side. So I think that was like early December for the NBA Cup.
Yeah, so like okay, so there's a few times, but they haven't had many stretches where they've strung together too many losses, which is a good sign. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about Tom's prediction. They're gonna somehow manage to get home court in the playoffs. I mean,
I love it.
I don't know if they're gonna get a 4 seed. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I think 6th seed is very real. It's a very real possibility. I think that would be a stretch goal for sure. I think they probably have to add someone to like really solidify that push because when it comes down to that part of the season, like Cade's not going to be able to do it all himself. So I do think having a secondary creator, and at least or a backup point guard that can run the offense, like that's going to really solidify. I'm curious, Jack, what you think is the biggest need for this team to really like either supercharge a strength that already exists or like to cover up a weakness that you see that, is it the backup point guard? Is it a better defensive center? Even though Duren's been playing better, like where would you see as the biggest need?
I would say it's definitely ball handling, like because, and maybe that's a backup point guard or maybe it's someone to go alongside. Like the names, I'm not sure I love these names, but we briefly spoke about Marcus Smart, CJ McCollum. Like I'm not in love with it, but if he's what do you know his contract off the top of your head? You're normally pretty good with this.
Yeah, I think he's got like 2 like this year and 1 more year, and it's like just like 33 million. So in that range.
So like that's a lot. Like that's probably on the like it's not risky, but like someone who can handle and create shots, or someone who can be like Marcus Smart, defend, take the ball handling duties. Like he's a decent playmaker, Marcus Smart. I haven't watched him much this season, so I don't think he's completely washed or anything, but. That's why I don't mind those 2 names. Yes, the salary. I know Pistons fans, and even I'm like, oh, like, but I think both of those guys next season, when Ivy's back, if on the roster as well, 1, they're expiring, and 2, I could see them both being coming off the bench. Maybe Marcus Smart comes off the bench this season anyway. But that's where I would go. Like, it's not saying if they trade for Brandon Ingram, I'm going to be like, nah, Pistons suck. Like I'm out. Like I'll support it. But I've toned back on that a little bit just because of like what we've seen in the past 3 weeks. I want to say like something's
right.
I don't know. Yeah. There's something with the chemistry, culture, and that I know it's hard to put it's hard to see it sometimes, but like it's coming, the wins are there. So I'm much less inclined to really disrupt this. And I'd be happy just to lose the pick now, get some more ball handling. That's where I would go and just ride it out.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I think Marcus Smart is I'd be surprised if they can get him. Like that's more of a like if he has to go in a bigger trade, like if the Pelicans want if the Grizzlies want Ingram, that's something to look at. I think CJ McCollum is much more gettable potentially. And Trajan was there when they traded for him the first time. So you suspect that there's a level of affinity for him. And his contract goes down. So this year it's 33 million. Next year it's 30 million. So it goes down with the cap going up. So that can help avoid things. But just to kind of, and Keith Smith mentioned this, he doesn't currently project the Pistons to have any cap space. He expects them to hold THJ's cap hold and Beasley and all those guys. I don't know if I would see it going that way, but the Pistons could really well be an over the cap team, depending on how they want to play things. If they'd rather have the non-taxpayer mid-level rather than like the room exception, and they don't see anyone they want to sign in free agency, like they could go that route. And so for people keeping track at home, especially if Cade's in all NBA conversations, they're not going to have cap room. When you take into account the first round pick or not having it, whatever, like depending on what happens with that, like it will eat into that. So honestly, getting above the cap now and spending the money now before the summer is a wise thing to do if they can find the right player.
Yeah. And like I should say the Marcus Smart one, that the idea of that he was like the Pistons were the third team and they get him. But yeah, it's interesting. I have no idea what they're gonna do, but I still just don't think they need to go and get Ingram.
They don't need to blow. They don't need to blow up the core. They don't need to blow up the main rotation guys. At most, maybe you send Tech out. Like that's where I'm comfortable with Tech being the person that goes, because I think he has value around the NBA-ish. He can shoot, right? So it's plug and play on most rosters. He's over 28 already. He makes $7 million this year and next year, so he's cost controlled, and he can get you to that $21-22 million range pretty easily with the cap room they have. And so, yeah, if you can move him, because you have Asar, you have Ron, you have Tobias, all kind of playing similar position, and then Bobby's back healthy now, so like that gives you opportunity to get him some run if you want. Not that Tech hasn't been important, but he hasn't necessarily been like the most impactful player. So if you can get someone for Tech and some seconds that can really improve this team and solidify a gap, especially in that, point guard position, I'm down. I'd love to see, honestly, I'm starting to convince myself, go get Lonzo, like top 55 protected second, like fake second and Tech to Chicago gets you Lonzo Ball. And if he's terrible, great. You have $7 more million in cap room next summer than you would have had. Like,
is he an expiring?
He's expiring.
Yeah.
Now, will the Bulls do that? I don't know, but they have a glut of point guards anyway, and he makes 20-some million. Like, that would definitely like free them up to, potentially take on more salary in a Levine deal, whatever. Like, it puts them in position to do some things. But so that would be one that I would love as a really low hanging fruit kind of deal, like low risk. So anyway,
I think Simone is probably the player. He does feel like the trade chip or trade guy. But Trevor, he has a question for you, Carl. If we exchange Simone for someone, can we put that player we acquire in the room exception? I understand that puts us below the salary floor, but does that work?
Yeah. So essentially what you're asking, the way the room exception works is it doesn't make sense to spend it until after you use your cap room, because otherwise it's just because when you're below the cap, like that exception, they're just going to get counted against the books. So they wouldn't use that. The way they're going to want to use the room exception is let's say they do like a Levine MPJ kind of thing, like we highlighted before. So they send Levine to Denver. Detroit gets MPJ. They send Tech and THJ to Chicago. And like, shoot, we still need a point guard. Let's throw Javon Carter and his $6.5 million salary into the room exception. Even though we don't have any more cap room because we've used it all on MPJ, we can still take back Javon Carter into that room exception. So now we also have a backup point guard in the midst of that deal. So that's kind of how they're going to want to use it. But again, we'll see if they even have a chance to use it, because they have to use that $14 million first. I mean, they don't have to, but there's no reason to use it until
that's used.
And then they can also use it to sign someone, right? So let's say they use all their cap room and they still have this room exception, and let's say Ben Simmons gets waived and they want to throw him $5 million to come be the backup point guard, right? Then they can use that and get him, where like most contending teams won't be able to do that because they're already over the apron and they can't sign him because he had too big of a salary. So that's where like they can use that room exception is going to be a little bit more than some other exceptions that teams might have. So they can still sign a player with the open roster and spot after they do trades too. So that's a couple of routes they can take with it.
Gotcha. Trevor, I had no idea how to understand this question. So, and I know it's addressed to Kyle. This is why he's young. This stuff blows my mind.
Please don't make too much of the Ben Simmons thing. It's late, and I pulled a random name that I knew couldn't get signed by contenders. So, and maybe we trade Dern and we sign Ben to be the backup center behind Stewart. Great, let's do that. Let's get crazy.
Oh man, do you think there's any way the Pistons, like I've seen people throwing out names like Cam Johnson now to the Pistons following? Yeah, I thought so, but I just wanted to ask you as a cap guy, and I know it's just explain why you don't think the Pistons will go after Cam Johnson. I don't even think it's to do with the cap, but I'll just want to let you explain.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Johnson, from a cap standpoint, easy to do. But Cam is also gettable from some of the contenders because his salary isn't terrible. And he just doesn't fit with the Pistons. Like, it doesn't work. You have Tobias already, and he actually plays. Cam Johnson is injured all the time, plays a similar position, and he's going to be the backup, right? I don't really see him as the 3 next to Tobias. Like, that's not going to be a recipe for success defensively necessarily. He's a decent player, but I think if they were going to do that, they would have done it already. They could have signed him in the offseason last year. Again, different regime, but and they want picks for him. Like, the Nets don't need to sell on him. Like, and so the Pistons aren't going to give up real assets for him, so they're not going to get him. Like, there's no reason. The Nets won't do it, and the Pistons don't. They don't. The needs for both teams don't match up.
Can I ask you as well, how did you interpret that report from, I think it was Tim Bontemps, ESPN? I don't even know if it was an official report. What was it actually
Like,
about the Pistons now being potentially buyers at the deadline instead of?
the way I read that is more the Pistons aren't going to just take any crappy contract that comes their way. They're going to add someone who actually helps them, like who can compete or can contribute to the roster. So that's really how I read that. And that's not a surprise. I don't think that means they're going to turn around and now start giving away first-round picks to go get someone like Ingram. I do think it means they're potentially more open to Ingram conversation and what that might look like. They might be a little more open to throw in 4 second-round picks rather than 2, or like they might be willing to come off some of those smaller assets in order to do something that's a below market value than maybe before. But I think, to your point, they're kind of walking this tightrope of they've got this really good culture that's still being established. They have momentum with the team that they have. And so they're going to be really hesitant to blow that up. And a lot of these guys that make a lot of money, THJ is going to have to be in the conversation. And he's, by all accounts, he's still close to leading the league in charges. He's a good effort guy on defense, even if he's not great, but he's a good effort guy. Seems like he's good for the locker room. I mean, he can go on a heater, and he has gravity whether he's hitting it or not. So what they're doing their work. And so I don't think they're going to give up THJ if it's not coming back for someone like a McCollum who also has that similar gravity. I don't think they're going to trade him for a non-shooter. I just don't think that's going to be a thing. And so that's kind of how I interpret it, was like they're more open to a deal that might cost them a little something if it can really improve this team because it's worth investing in. But they're not gonna make an all-in move right now. Again, unless something crazy happens and Booker's like, I'm out, send me to Detroit. Barring something like that from happening and them being the preferred destination, where they might be able to get not a overpay to get someone like him, they're not going to be pushing chips in, because right now they don't have all their chips to play with. It would just be inefficient use, and
that's why I'm more than happy for this pick to go to Minnesota. Keep winning games, get rid of it, get your assets back. And I know there might be some salary implications by the time you get to the off season, but just get rid of that pick, get your assets back. And I'm not trying to be that Pistons fan. It's like, no, we're too good for Ingram. We're too good for Levine. But because when we recorded that episode probably a month ago now, I really was like, I'm fine with this. Like, but for what we've seen now, like obviously in hindsight, I probably just wasn't giving it enough time for everyone to gel. And yeah, like you said, like Tim Hardaway Jr. is a real threat. Like they missed him last game against the Warriors. Warriors were just loading up on Cade. They didn't care about anyone unless it was Malik Beasley on the 3-point line, and Tobias a little bit. So, yeah, I think your interpretation's right. And I like how you said the key point with the Booker one is as well. It's like he has to want to come to Detroit because the Pistons asset-wise, there's plenty of other teams, the Rockets, OKC, who've got more stuff. So,
Right. And I think the last thing I'll say, just to put a bow on this, I think the other thing that they didn't say but they're saying is, and Trajan came out in an interview on the FanDuel Sports Network or whatever, was saying like we did not expect to be 500 at this point. And so, like, I think the other thing that's being said here is we're fully prepared that we're losing this pick. Like, that's a mental shift that he is doing right now is, okay, most likely I'm losing this pick anyway. Yeah. So, like, I can either try to scrounge for a couple more second round picks, or I can potentially make a move to really make this worth it.
Yes.
Like, yeah. And so instead of just making the plan and getting in and then losing our pick and getting whooped, like, how do we win a playoff game? Like, I do think that's an internal conversations happening. Is like, hey, we have not won a playoff game since 2008. Yeah. Like, how do we make this happen? And how do we make it without breaking the bank? Because he's not going to give up. He's not going to mortgage a future to win a playoff game. Yeah. But they might just, so it's like that kind of, I don't know if it's leaning. I don't know if you want to call it sunk cost fallacy, but there's a little bit of a, hey, we're not going to have this pick, so let's make it worth it. And so I do think that's something he didn't say, but he's saying.
I agree. I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's like, let's go get that ball handler to help Cade and help it. Because if they win a playoff game, can you imagine? Like, people are going to be blown away if they make the playoffs. But if they win a playoff game, like, Trajan's going to be like the most. Well, Cade will be the most popular, but people are going to. Trajan Langdon's going to get his flowers for sure. Any other topics, Carl? I've got a few more minutes if you do.
Yeah.
About anything. I do think one thing I will say, actually, I was thinking this while you're talking. They're 20-19 now. They do have some toughish games coming up. So would your approach change if the Pistons in 2 weeks' time are 21-24? Or do you think it's still, no, let's try get rid of this pick? Because
are they 21-24? Are they 21-24 and still the 9 seed, or are they 21-24 and the 12 seed?
Good point. They're probably, honestly, like, it'll depend what Philly are doing, because after Philly at 11, it's just Brooklyn. It's Brooklyn, Charlotte, Raptors. Like, they're not winning more games than the Pistons. So I don't think they can fall lower than 11th unless they were just to, like, significant injury or purposely put a bad roster out there.
That's so hard, because I do take this Pistons team can win a game against anyone. Yeah, I think. So the chance of them actually if they make the plan, the chance of making the playoffs, I think is kind of high, right? So, like, again, if you're going to lose the pick and I think, so I guess, no, I would not say, like, if they're 21-24, that my approach would be much different. If anything, and it depends on how they lose those games. Like, it's hard because like, if it's like they're losing a game because there's just no one on the bench to really get people organized, I might even be more like, see, this is why you just need to get somebody who can organize the team. Even if it's like Trey Jones, like, I don't care. Like, give me someone who can pass the ball and, like, get this team into an offensive set when they're not running out in transition. Yeah. And so yeah, I think for sure, like, I do think they need to make a move like that. And I'm willing to give up a second round pick. They have a good second round pick from Toronto this year. So I don't know, like, that's a super valuable pick. Like, seriously, in the new CBA, it's going to be a top 3 pick in the second round. And for teams over the apron, that's free because they have an exception. They can sign those guys, like, for a certain amount.
So that pick right now, you're right. That's sitting at 32 or 33, depending on if there's a tiebreaker with the Pelicans. So
yeah, and they have some other ones that are like the Denver get the best of that pick. Like there's some things that are in that one, but like that pick's more valuable than a late 20s first round pick at this point.
Yeah.
And so especially for contenders. So like they could, if they hold on to that, like if they do move and consolidate some young guys, they'll have that to restock that, or they can really throw that as a trade chip in and like really make an MPGA deal worth it for Denver. Like that's where you can start maybe doing some things that, yeah. So anyway, I say that all that to say, depending what the move is, there is an article coming out on DBB. I don't know if it's out yet.
I must have seen it in the publishing platform and said it was
right. Yeah. Yeah, which I lost my access to that, and I just didn't have the heart to make Sean add me to it because I'm leaving again. But yeah, so there's one that's coming out that we're going to be exploring for potential trades the Pistons can make at the deadline to improve the team. So essentially, that's the gist of it. And I have trades in there we have trades in there that are nothing going out, and the Pistons getting something back for free, and then we have some that are like, hey, we're going to send out 4 second-round picks plus some things because it's to make a home run swing relative to this trade deadline. So yeah, I'm comfortable with any of those moves, depending on like what it looks like. And I would not be mad about anywhere from Javon Carter to making a Brandon Ingram move if it's not going to break the bank. So I'm very, very optimistic about this team. Maybe not as optimistic as Tom, but I'm close, man. Tom had to be believing, right? I feel it's after a win. He says, go get that 4th seed. It's like, hey, I mean, the East is bad this year. They could, the Bucks are benching Chris Middleton. Who knows what's going to happen. So
it's exciting, man. It's so like from what you've been on here heaps with me this season, but I just think back to the home court days. We didn't know what we were in for at the start of that season, what was to come, but to be in a position now where we're just like, this team has, even without a first round pick, there's still so many options available, like for which way it can go in an exciting way. And they're winning games. Yeah. It's a good time to be a Pistons fan. It's been rough forever, but it's good.
Yep. We got a lot of meat to chew, not a lot of bones to spit out right now. So we're just enjoy the feast, guys. But it's funny. I was thinking about this today, how like people are kind of disappointed with this win, like because it was sloppy. There's some things, and I'm like, can we relish the fact that as Pistons fans, we've had enough wins this year to be disappointed with certain wins that we've gotten? Yeah. Like that's real. Like, hey, our team is actually like good enough to be like, you know what, that wasn't a good enough win. Like we should have won that better.
It's so true. It's so true. No,
Pistons fans have always kind of been like that, but it's like real now. Like it's legitimate.
But like I had to check myself after that Warriors game. Like I was like getting so mad, and like after that game, I was like feeling real negative. And I'm like, well, hang on, just chill out for a bit. Like I've just be grateful that they got within a couple of points. They're coming off a 5-game winning streak. Like I just want them to win 6 in a row. But it's like just like I need to check myself because I'm like starting to expect them to win now, which is nice. But it's also like when they do lose a close game, like just chill, like just chill.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot of Pistons fans that are spoiled by the Lions, and in the NFL, one loss is a big deal. When you're watching the NBA, your team's going to lose 20 games, if not 40, right? So like the perspective is hard when it's still football season, and you're like, you have all the intensity of the Vikings win, and you're like, oh, the Pistons can't lose because it's whatever, and it's like, no, it's not that big a deal.
Talk me through. Maybe we'll end it here. Talk me through what's the next month look like for a Lions fan, because I see some stuff. I don't really watch NFL. The times are too hard for me to keep up with. It's early in the morning. But you're a Lions fan. Yes. Big Lions fan. Yes. Sorry. Didn't mean that. Blasphemy for me. But talk to me next
you're good.
Because I just want to get an understanding as someone who pays a little bit of attention but really isn't plugged in. Like, what's the next month look like?
So this weekend we have it easy because they have a bye. They earned the number 1 seed, so home court throughout the playoffs, or home field throughout the playoffs, and didn't have to play this weekend, which is huge for them because they haven't had a bye since week 5 or week 4, and so they were tired, and so they're gonna get some guys back. Next week they'll play the lowest seeded team that remains. So in the NFL they reseed the games after each round. And so whichever is the worst seed that gets through the wild card, the Lions will play them at home. And basically the week after that. So basically the Lions are 2 home wins away from the Super Bowl. That's it. That's all they need to do. Win 2 more home games. And then the Super Bowl is February 9th, I think, or something like that. Which is like 2 or 3 days before I leave for the Middle East. So
Is
hopefully,
that just by chance it's like that, or did you plan it like that?
No, it just happens to be the timing, and so I'm really hoping I don't fly out on Monday morning. I'm just hoping I can enjoy Super Bowl Sunday and stay up late watching my Lions. Man, which last year I thought the Lions were going to make the Super Bowl, and my son was due in that same window, and so they lost in the NFC Championship, and I didn't have to miss the Super Bowl for the birth of my son. But
can I ask you, where is your confidence level at as a fan that they get to the Super Bowl, not win it, but just get to the Super Bowl?
Pretty high. I think the defense is still really injured, and so it's a chance that could just in the playoffs come back to bite us. But I think I'm pretty confident they'll make the Super Bowl this year. Man, every year that since Dan Campbell's been here, they've gotten better, and it's not always linear like that, but. And this is a chance this year. Like I would like if you'd asked me before the Minnesota game, I would have said they'll probably win a playoff game, but the defense might be hard to keep up. But I think at this point they can definitely do it. Like it would not shock me if they get to and win the Super Bowl. Wow. It would not shock me at all. But I am leaning more like I think they'll at least get there because of the home field, because they get this week off. Hopefully they get 1 or 2 more guys healthy, and that helps them. So we'll see. Excited.
I'm excited. I'm going to try and watch some of these playoff games, just the Lions. I don't know what time they'll be at, but I'm assuming they might be at night for you guys.
Yeah, most of them will be evening games, I think. I don't know for sure.
If they're in the evening, I'll definitely be able to watch them. So because have the Red Wings been in? I don't know what their equivalent is for their finals or Super Bowl, but have they made? When was the last time?
It's been a long time.
A major franchise made the finals or Super Bowl, the last round for the championship.
Oh, geez.
Is it the Pistons?
I honestly don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember if the Tigers made the World Series after.
Okay.
Guys, don't hate me. I am a Detroit sports fan, but I'm also old. And I can't remember things sometimes, but it kind of those early 2000s. That's right. I was going to say I thought the Tigers made the World Series, and then they got swept, I think, but they did make the World Series in 2013. Yeah.
Let's go.
But yeah, I think that's the last time.
Well, Carl, man, thank you so much for waiting in line. Appreciate you, and I'm really excited to read this article and see your trades. I might have to try to do another video with you if you've got time. But if not, everyone, when that article drops, I'll be sharing it because Carl's the man with the trades. He knows what's going on, and I appreciate you coming up and making time as always, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Have a good rest of your evening, guys. Peace out.
All right, man. Catch you. All right, guys. I think I've kind of got to go, but I'm just going to quickly scan. Thank you so much for all your support. As always, you guys are the best. I have a feeling this might be our biggest stream ever in terms of numbers, at least for while we've been streaming. So I appreciate all the regulars in here, YouTube user, Drake. Devin, shout out to you, man. Appreciate you subscribing. I saw your DM. Thank you so much, man. If you haven't already, please subscribe, drop a like on the video. It all really just helps push the channel and continue to gain momentum and steam and get new faces in here. Get more Pistons fans in here because that's what this is about. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate you, brother. As always, YouTube user, you're the man. So you guys are all the best. Really fun stream tonight. As Kyle just said, bit of a frustrating game, but they won. They won by almost double digits in the end. Cade Cunningham's all NBA. It's just such a good time to be a Pistons fan. I'm loving these streams and getting to know you all so much better. So thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back for, I think the Pistons play New York next at Madison Square Garden. So that's probably going to be a bit of a tough game, but we'll be back for a post-game stream as always. But until then, go Pistons.